Hello, hello. Welcome to the Five Talents Podcast. I'm your host, Abel Pacheco. I interview the top commercial real estate investors and industry experts so you can learn from their experiences. So if you're an investor, a high W-2 earner, or real estate or tech sales professional that wants to invest in real estate without having to manage properties or leave your day job, then this podcast is for you. Or if you're already investing in real estate, but you're doing it part-time and you want to become a full-time multifamily or full-time commercial real estate investor, this podcast is for you too. You're going to learn a ton. You will learn from real-life multifamily investors and other professionals in the industry. They're going to share their blueprints for success, and I'm super excited that you're here. So I hope you enjoy the show. Hello, hello. My name is Abel Pacheco. I'm your host with the Five Talents Podcast, where we talk about commercial real estate, financial independence, investing, and all kinds of other topics. And I'm super excited today, just even in the pre-conversation with Mr. John Okocha. This is going to be an amazing episode. I know it, and hopefully break some limiting beliefs if you have any about investing. John, thanks for joining, brother.
Thanks for having me. It's a pleasure to be here.
Man, I'm excited. For those that don't know John, and I have a feeling it's going to be one of those names that you know in the future if you don't know it now and you're in the multifamily investing space. He's relatively newer in the side, but don't let the tenure and age fool you. We'll talk about that in a second. But John is really an integral part of the Elevate team. He is part of the growth of over 1,700 multifamily real estate units in 2019 alone. He's just a master at this point of assessing, analyzing properties, really the market fundamentals, understanding property acquisitions, really from every space, from creating a new deal, maintaining a relationship, maintaining the opportunity, financials, all the modeling. I mean, the guy is a phenomenal asset, and I'm super happy that he's on the show. So, John, thanks for joining, brother. Like I said,
it's a pleasure to be here, and if there's any value I can add, I'd love to do it.
I have a feeling you're going to add a little bit of value for our listeners, man. So let me start with some of these fun ones, because I'm looking at John, and I had that initial conversation with him. I was like, how old are you, John? John, you're 25, brother?
Yes, sir.
Come on. And you are a principal and a part owner in 1,700 multifamily doors across several properties.
That is correct.
Okay, let me pause for effect. Hey, John, I'm ready, dude. That is so awesome, man. So tell me a little bit about yourself. Tell me how you got started. Let's dive in.
Man, all got started when a really good friend of mine gave me the book Rich Dad Poor Dad. I read that book, and my mindset completely changed. I started going to real estate seminars, and I met my first millionaire at a real estate seminar. And when I met her, she went from living in trailer homes to buying trailer home buildings. So when I saw all of that, and I saw it and I got to see it, in the flesh, I knew that being extremely wealthy was a possibility. And I remember being the first person back there to buy the little 3-day seminar package. I remember working at McDonald's, in order to pay for it and everything. And, I did that and started building from there. From there, I found a mentor who taught me how to wholesale. And once he taught me how to wholesale, I did a couple of deals with him. From there, I went into working on the acquisition side of a smaller firm. They have maybe about 300 single-family properties, and I bought over 20 properties for them within eight months. While I was there, I met the principals at Elevate. I told them a little bit what I was doing, and we actually did a little bit of business. But and after doing that, doing some business with them, they're like, hey, join the team, and I've been here ever since.
Nice, man. That's so awesome. When did you take your first course? Like, what age were you?
Oh, I was 17.
Okay, so you're 17. So it's been about 4 years. When you hear 1,700 units in a year, that in itself is amazing. But there's a 4-year progression of your learning, of your cycle, of your hustle, of all of your hard work. You're working at McDonald's, so obviously Mickey D's is not paying, 20 bucks, 30 bucks an hour. It was, I would imagine a little, probably just above minimum wage, if that. And so how much did you spend on your first course?
I believe it was $300.
Okay, good. Well, at least it wasn't, 30 grand. Some of us dropped over here.
My parents did help out a little bit on that.
Okay. That was helped out a little bit for you too. And so, what was your mindset, just even in the first investment, first course? It sounds like you were the first one in the back of the room. I know how that goes. Like, hey, back of the room, first one to sign up. And you're like, seeing everyone run over there. But anyways, you tell me what was your experience like?
I just remember seeing a really, really beautiful woman. I think she was in her mid-20s. I think she was late 20s. And she said that she owned about $4 million worth of RV parks. And she said that she used to live in one. And she went from living in them into, not RV parks, but like trailer homes. And she went from living into one to owning them. And she told us her story. And, I've never been the same since.
You were kind of saying, hey, man, if she can do it, then I can definitely do it. I would imagine somewhere in there. That's what I would have been saying. But so you kind of, overcame that and signed up for courses and started doing single family. You spent a lot of time, effort, and energy. It sounds like you made your way up from wholesaling to acquisition to a smaller firm, maybe like a legitimate, instead of on your own, working with a team, and you kind of leverage that same and now working with Elevate. So how did you make the transition from single family to multifamily from where you're at? And, tell us about that start.
I've always wanted to do multifamily, even on the wholesale side of things. I remember my mentor talking about wholesaling hotels and wholesaling apartment buildings. And I remember him talking about that. And, I wanted to be extremely wealthy. And I was like, well, I need to learn how to do that because they make a lot of money. And I've always been interested on the multifamily side, especially. And so I did a little bit of research on the multifamily side, and actually I learned a little bit from there's a man called the Flip Man. He was teaching how to wholesale apartment buildings at the time, and I remember buying his course. And I was actually working on a deal with him, and I was actually about maybe like 19 or something like that. Nice. And the deal fell through, but I did learn some things in that experience. And that was when I was in college, and I don't know about y'all, but I have Nigerian parents, and they're telling me that, you need to stay in college, you need to focus on this, you need to, get a job, et cetera, et cetera. And then I listened to them, which I wish I didn't, but what I did is
they'll appreciate later, and you'll appreciate it later. But yes. It's good to make your parents happy, but I'm glad you pulled off your dream. Continue. I interrupt.
Oh, no worries. And so I listened to them, and they're like, you need a job, et cetera, et cetera. So I got a job as a financial advisor, and I was doing that for, I got the internship, and I was doing that for like over a year. And then, I couldn't do it anymore. I was like, I want to do real estate. So I quit and got back onto the wholesale side, and, never looked back.
Oh, that's good. Well, I'm happy you kind of pursued the passion, pursued the dream, continued on, and now, part owner in 1,700 doors. So what did you specifically do to grab the attention of, a pretty large, very successful multifamily, team to have you come on board as a principal? What'd you do there?
So when I joined, Elevate only had 37 doors. They only had 37 units in Temple, Texas. But prior to them purchasing those properties, I already did business with one of the partners at Elevate. So they knew me business wise, and we liked each other. I was buying properties from one of their wholesale companies, and I bought maybe 4 or 5 properties from them. So we already had a really good relationship.
Mm-hmm.
And they even asked me, "Hey, do you want to join on the single family side?" Because I told them that I was leaving my firm, and they said, "Hey, do you want to join us on the single family side?" And I just remember like it was yesterday. I told them that I never wanted to see another single family property ever again, and and they told me that they recently purchased, I believe it was 37 doors in Temple, Texas, and they're looking to buy more. And I told them, "Hey, if you need help on the acquisition side, I'm your guy, and we'll make it happen." And within 30 days, with an LOI on over 400 doors.
Nice. What year was that? Was that 18 or 17?
18.
Okay.
It was November 18th is when I started with Elevate.
And so the speed of trust was already built because you had done cycles, you had done deals, you connected on some of that. So there was not a matter of if what you're saying is true or not, or if you can deliver, because you had already delivered.
Yeah.
And so that made it simple. So, let's even talk there. What did you do? I know it's single family, but it relates to that's how you got in, right?
Yeah.
What were the cycles that you did to kind of prove that you were of value, you know, through this process? What did you do?
It's nothing. There's no secret to it. Treat people well, treat people with integrity, mean what you say. I mean, there's nothing. There's no secret sauce. Just treat people well. Uh, Obviously, you never know what will happen. You never know where they'll go or where they'll take you. So always treat people well, no matter what. And, that's just because it's the right thing to do.
Yeah. And then, so absolutely 100% without a doubt, I fully agree with you. In my, 20-year professional career, in all my friendships and, people that I meet with professionally and personally, I've always had, this kind of a mindset. In fact, my mission statement is for 20 plus years is to leave a positive impact on everyone that I meet, both professionally and personally. So it's always helped me kind of keep this straight, of road. I know where I'm going, right? In this relationship. Now, I don't always succeed every single time. Unfortunately, I'm human, right? But that's the goal. And it sounds like you were very much there, right? But the tactical working items, did you wholesale deals to them? Were you a buyer? Were you a seller? Were you all of it? And just kind of helping them show opportunities and deals? How did that happen?
Actually, the wholesale deals to me.
Okay, you were the buyer.
I was the acquisition agent.
Okay,
And, yeah, I bought their deals. I bought maybe 4 or 5 deals from them.
Yep, on the buying side. So you, like you said, integrity. You delivered when they had a property, and you said you were going to take it down. You guys took it down, and so you're a good buyer. Okay, that's good. And now continue this process. You said never going to touch a single family deal again, right? And you learned that early, I guess. You probably did enough transactions. So how did you get your first deal under contract or LOI? How'd you get this first 400 doors so quickly when, you hear a bunch of people say, "Oh, I've been looking for a year, 2 years." I'm sure opportunity and preparation, there's a little bit of luck there, but tell me about, those first, month of process. How many people did you call? How many deals did you shake out? What were the activities? Any color around this would be awesome.
Yeah. So exactly what I did is I went on LoopNet, and I knew that the brokers on LoopNet that were posting their deals on there, that none of them were deals. So I went on there and I called all of those brokers, and I told them that we at Elevate and with our partners had over 2,000 doors, and we were looking to expand our portfolio and for them to send us anything off market that they had. And I just kept doing that. I mean, I did that. I also had a list of single family, a list of multifamily properties that I got off of CoStar, and I was calling them. But I think what I liked the best was actually speaking with the brokers, because I think that you should leverage brokers as much as possible, because these brokers are already calling these lists, and that's what they do all day. So, I mean, if you call one broker, you've basically called 100 people. So, if I ask myself, I'd like to call 1,000 people today, that just means I need to call 10 brokers.
Mm, what good insight, man. The math is you're correct. I would say this is what they do every single day, right? So we're trying to leverage that, and you found an amazing way to leverage it. And was the deal that you found, was it from a broker or on LoopNet? Which one was it?
I believe it was from a broker.
Okay, gotcha. And when you were looking through LoopNet, finding those brokers, you were probably talking about a deal, and then talking to the broker, and then have the conversation to multiple properties. Correct?
Correct.
All right, that's awesome. Hello, hello. You're listening to the Five Talents Podcast. I'm your host, Abel Pacheco. If you're enjoying this podcast, then I know you're serious about achieving financial freedom. Are you ready to create your own path through multifamily investing for yourself and your family? Then I know you're going to appreciate our Investor's Guide to Multifamily Investing. It's titled Tackling Commercial Real Estate the Easy Way. We use this guide to invest ourselves in $93 million worth of real estate. So we're going to show you the basic mechanics of multifamily syndications and how to evaluate your next passive investment opportunity. So the best part, if you subscribe to our podcast now, leave us a review and a rating. I'm going to give you a free copy of our ebook. So please take a moment to do that now. Once you've done that, go to 5tcre.com/ebook, 5tcre.com/ebook. Make sure to let us know you left a review, and we're going to send you a free copy. So thank you so much for subscribing to the Five Talents Podcast. We really appreciate it. And then when did you start analyzing deals? When did you start, doing the math, doing the financials, looking at the property? Because I know that's part of, your success there as well.
I believe within the first maybe 1 or 2 weeks, I think the first week, they're training me on how to underwrite. So they were showing me how to look at, I think there were deals that they were looking at, and I was underwriting deals that they were looking at as well.
Yep. Well, so were you doing that at the previous company on a single family financial?
Yeah, so I would look at the comps, I would look at the area, and we'd run the comps, and single family, the way you determine value is by the comparables.
Okay, good. So some of what you did kind of related, but obviously you found pretty quickly, there's a big Excel. There's a lot of components to doing the underwriting. So talk to us about today. Well, actually, let me frame this right, John. So we have a lot of listeners that are passive investors, people that are trying to figure out, the commercial multifamily syndication world. And then I think we have a number of people that are brand new general partners. Maybe they're trying to get their first deal or trying to get their second or third one, just kind of get moving, right? So I think a little bit of both. And for the person that doesn't know what underwriting is or how to underwrite a property, can you give us like a high level, like what is underwriting? How do I do it? Walk us through just kind of some of the basics so we get it.
Yeah, so the first thing that I do is I get the T12 and I get the rent rolls. So once I get the T12 and the rent rolls, I take a look at the T12 and I see if there are any, discrepancies on the T12, or is there 1 month where there's a huge amount of expenses, or 1 month where there's a huge amount of, maybe it's like revenue or, miscellaneous income, that kind of thing. And then you want to normalize that and see. And once you normalize that, what you do is you plug in those details into your underwriting. So once you plug in those details into your underwriting, what you're trying to figure out is what is the NOI, what is the net operating income, the current NOI, and also what you're trying to understand is you want to understand the occupancy. So you understand the occupancy, the current NOI, and once you have all those details, you'll go look for comparables, rental comparables in that area. So you look for rental comparables in that area to see what it could potentially rent out for, if it were to be rehabbed. So those are the things that you look for. But you also want to look at crime in the area. One thing that I do is I call police stations. So I call to local neighborhood watch groups to get an idea of how the area is, if you don't already have an idea of how the area is. So those are a couple of different things. And also you're going to underwrite. You're going to you're also then this is pretty high level stuff. This is more on the high level side. So another thing what you're going to do is you're going to plug in the details in order to figure out the cash on cash of the property, the cash on cash that it's going to produce in year one, year two, and depending on your underwriting, maybe year 3 to 5, depending on what you're underwriting to, and depending on the kind of deals that you're looking at and the kind of deals that you want for your investors.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, and just to make sure that we go back here, right? So John mentioned a few things. He mentioned a T12, that's a trailing 12 months of like basically a company's profit and loss, all the income, all the expenses brings in. He mentioned NOI, net operating income. That's basically just the net. How much did you make? What was the profit at the end of the year? The rent roll. You have a list of all the people that are renting the properties, how much they pay per unit, that breakdown. And you said a word called you normalize the expenses. So we definitely normalize some numbers. What does that mean to you? Can you explain that for our listeners too, so they understand what does normalize mean? How do I do that?
Well, sometimes there's a lot of expense in one month that you might not incur in the following month. And basically what that means is you have to figure out what would a normal month would be like instead of the month. So basically you're trying to figure out what a normal month having that asset would be like in that scenario.
Yeah. Yeah. So you're doing that. And you mentioned the trends up and down. If there's an anomaly, if everything's straight line, numbers are the same, but you have a big dip or a big spike, you said you're looking for, I think the discrepancy was your word, I think, but you're kind of looking for, hey, what caused that, right? Being a good investigator on these numbers. Okay, got it. And then you mentioned occupancy. That was pretty, how many people, percentage of people there. But the reason all these things are important, so John, help frame it back now for the people that are listening. You've just looked at all these numbers. You mentioned the last thing was like 8% cash on cash return. What does that mean for investors? I'm a passive investor trying to determine if this deal is good or not. You've done the analysis. Tell me, from that frame of mind now.
Yeah, so 8 or 10%. So let's say someone puts in $100,000 into the deal. First year, they're going to get 10% of that. So they're going to get $10,000 first year on the investment. So that's the short answer for that. And if they put in $100,000 during the term of the investment, the first year, they're going to get 10% of that.
Yeah, absolutely. So, a lot of times we see minimum investments. I bet you Elevate's probably similar. $50,000 is a minimum investment. For passive investors, the math is way easier for us to do it at a 100K example. If you do 100, it's 8% return. It's simple. It's 8K a year. That's how I think of it when I always put my pro formas out there. So it's you're looking for how much cash am I going to get? And then there's some kind of equity multiple at the very end. If I put in 100, can I double my money in 6 years or whatever? And so you're looking for that average annualized return. And so those are all really good things. And this took you a couple of weeks to kind of figure this stuff out. I hear constantly that it's so hard to learn underwriting. It's so hard. Like, what did you do to actually say, you know what, I'm gonna learn this like right now?
Well, it's a little bit different for me. I do high level. I don't do the extremely deep dive, when it comes to doing like the stress tests and other things like that.
Okay.
So it's a little bit different for me, but when it comes to underwriting, it's definitely a skill set. It's definitely not for everyone, but definitely do it. It's very, very important. Definitely.
Well, I'll probably give you a question that might answer it too if I wasn't specific enough. How many deals did you underwrite to get to your deal, the one that you had under LOI?
That's a really good question. I'd say at least maybe around 20 deals.
After you've done 20 deals, you're a little bit better than the first round, right?
100%.
So it's a matter of practice, just Nobody becomes professional at anything. Nobody becomes a professional NBA player, a football player, pro or an executive in their area and a master in expertise. You don't just jump in there knowing this stuff from day one. You get in there, you get your hands dirty, and you do it once, and you do it twice, and you mess up, and you do it 5 times, and 15 times, and 20 times, and you get a little bit better at it. And now I'm sure you've done way more than 20, and you're getting much better now. And now when you're also, I'd like to dig into like kind of more of your current role too, really helping investor relations. You're probably a little bit better at explaining some of this to investors when they ask different types of questions. You've gotten some mastery of this stuff, right?
Well, still working on it.
Humble guy, humble.
3 months now, but I wouldn't call myself a master, but
Yeah.
Still working on it.
John's very humble in it, and I know you have in multifamily. Here's also a great part. So John found this deal. You got it done. You're in 1,700 doors. You're a principal in it. I mean, it's just a great track record. Who cares and at whatever age you are. Okay, it's a phenomenal track record. But you're not an expert or a master at everything, correct?
100%.
So how did you do that? You leveraged, an amazing team. So tell me about, the teamwork, the team mentality. We'd love to hear about like what you do at Elevate and kind of, the crew and the team and how everybody's working together. And, sometimes people think, oh, it's like one person that buys all these doors. I go, no, they're a pretty big team. So maybe you could describe a little bit of this for us. That'd be awesome.
Well, teamwork makes the dream work. So typically when it comes to Elevate, Eric and I will focus mainly on the acquisition part of it. When it comes to negotiating with the sellers, brokers, and also when it comes to the underwriting part of it. And initially I'm normally the one who makes the initial first touch when it comes to the broker or the seller. And then typically at some point, Eric gets involved and we kind of move it along that way when it comes to doing the LOI, the contract. And when it moves along that way, George is also in the process as well. He handles more of the construction side. Mm-hmm. He owns J&T, which is the construction arm. That when we do deals, they do the construction on our Elevate properties. And we also have Carrie Bettenards as well. And she handles most of the investor relations. And, that's how we get it done. With Carrie helping on the money side, myself and Eric helping on the acquisitions and construction side. And we also bounce things off of each other. I might focus more on capital raising on one deal. Eric might focus on acquisitions more on one deal, that sort of thing. So it's we share a lot of responsibilities.
Yeah, that's awesome. And then J&T is involved, Elevate. So the reposition, the repurpose. You guys got a big construction team to help you as well. So a lot of moving parts, a lot of things going on. So acquisitions, investor relations, and then also deeper level analysis probably when you're doing the deal. So how do you gain trust with brokers to actually send you some deals when you're kind of, the unfamiliar name, I'm sure, maybe now a little more familiar with them, a lot more familiar with them, but the beginning, how did you even build that or establish that trust? And I know that would be awesome to hear about too.
I think, me personally, the best way to do it is to partner with someone who has a track record. That way, when you're speaking to a broker, he knows that he has someone on the line who can actually take down a property. So that's really all he cares about. He wants to make sure that he gets paid, and he's only going to get paid if the person that's on the other side of the phone is actually going to buy the property. So I would recommend partnering with someone who has a track record and leveraging off of that track record. Because when you partner with someone and they have 2,000 units, even if you have 0 units, you can still tell the broker honestly that you and your partner have over 2,000 doors and you're looking for more properties.
Yeah, that's an excellent point, right? And that's when people say, well, you leverage your team or you borrow someone else's track record. Yeah, if
Exactly.
you do exactly what John mentioned.
Exactly.
Hey,
Yeah.
sorry, go ahead. You go ahead.
No, I was agreeing with you.
Yeah, John's probably like, hey, I'm with Elevate. I'm with the big guys over here. And J&T, that's us too. Yes, I'm looking for a new deal. Can you send it my way? That's great, man. What are to keep up some of the relations to make sure that you're the guy? So they've built, they know who you are, and they at least feel like, you know what, this guy's representing the team, right?
Yeah.
So they know you. How do you get them to like and trust you?
Man, it's a dance. You gotta dance with them. You gotta talk to them. Do you you're when you're talking to these brokers, you gotta make sure that you give them the information that they need, and whether they when they ask for it, and as soon as possible, as quickly as possible. Just make sure you keep the conversation open. Make sure you're being courteous to them, and if there's anything they need, try to get it to them, over to them as soon as possible.
Mhm.
Uh, that sort of thing, and make sure you always check in with them as well.
What frequency do you check in with your people?
It depends on the relationship. There's some people that maybe once a month, and there's some people that you might talk to every single day.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it kind of depends, right? How many deals? Well, actually, let's talk like maybe pre-COVID and this year, because it's crazy. Well, last year, how many deals were you looking at in a month? And then maybe this year, how many deals are you looking at in a month?
So it's very interesting. After we closed our Houston deal, a lot of people just started sending deals to us. So it wasn't as difficult to find deals for us here at Elevate. So when it comes to actually like finding the deals and doing the deals, we're getting many deals sent to us. We probably get maybe between the entire team, probably, I don't know, maybe anywhere between 50, maybe even 100 deals sent within a week. So that's something that we were definitely that's something that we were looking at. And well, sorry, what was your question
No,
again?
it's okay. This is good. Deal
Mhm.
volume.
Deal volume, yeah, probably anywhere between maybe 50 to 100 deals a week.
Yeah. Did that increase over last year? And you mentioned Houston property.
Mhm.
I don't know. Big deal, I'm guessing. And
Well, yes, it did increase as far as deal volume. People would find my email and start sending me deals, and people would reach out to me and start sending me deals, that kind of thing.
yeah. Hey, I remember you reaching out. Okay, now you're serious. You guys are closers. Let me send you some more. And
So,
that's awesome. And how the heck do you guys underwrite 50 to 100 deals in a week? Or is that the high level, yeah, an analysis, high level, this doesn't make sense, this makes sense, and then kind of go deeper into the ones that are within a range? Or how does that even happen? What are the mechanics to do that, to analyze that many properties?
well, exactly like you just said. Um, well, some of them we don't even do high level underwriting. We take a look at the property, and we just know just from the area what we could buy it for. It's like, well, in this area, we're only going to pay maybe 75,000 a door.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, so we cross that one off the list. And if we get something that's maybe not 75, but it's 77,000 or 78,000 a door,
Yeah.
oh, well, maybe we should look into this. So we'll do a high level underwriting on that. And
Mm-hmm.
then if it doesn't make any sense, cross it off the list. But
Yep.
if it does make sense, or we can maybe negotiate a little bit lower than that, um, we move forward with it.
Yeah, that's awesome. And how many markets are you guys buying in today, or how many are you in, and how many are you making offers? Uh,
So we're currently in the Houston market, and so most of the major cities in Texas we will make an offer on. In most of the major cities in Texas, we're currently in Houston, DFW, and we're also in Walton, Oklahoma. Currently, we're about to close on a deal in South Dakota, Rapid City, South Dakota. So that'll be another market we're going to add. But typically, we like to invest along the southeastern part of the United States.
got it. Okay, that's awesome. So you definitely have deal flow from multiple states as opposed to like maybe myself, I'm looking in like two cities, right? Very different, right? The deal flow, the funnel on the top of the funnel is much bigger because you've kind of created that. And then, so 1,700 units. The first one was how many doors?
The first one, when I was with Elevate, was 216 doors.
Okay. So what was how big was the second one?
The second one was our Houston property, and that was over 1,200 doors. I think the exact number of units.
That was a crush it deal. And then, so 1,200 something. So 12 plus two, that's 14. And then another one?
The next one was in Arlington, Texas.
Yep.
192 or 96 doors.
Yep. And then, so those three, was there a fourth?
No fourth as of right now.
Okay, got it. So, like, it went from 200, which is freaking sizable, to a 1,200 door. Who found the 1,200, and like how did that come to fruition?
That's a really good question.
And whatever you feel comfortable talking about. So,
well, I mean, no, it's great. As far as who found it, I think it was me that found it first. I'm pretty sure. I think George and I think we both got the email, but I think I found it.
Passed your sniff test, huh?
I'm pretty sure that's what happened.
You're like at the what was the name of that dang movie? We're all yelling Recco. Yeah, I found a big one. I can't even remember. That's one of my favorite movies. But anyways, so you've identified this deal. Maybe a minute or two. How did it go down? What happened? Yeah, et cetera, et cetera. Give us that 1,200 unit story. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, so it was pretty interesting. So George and I went to an IMN conference, and we ran into one of his old buddies from middle school that he hasn't seen in a long time. And apparently he worked for a company that had over 7,000 doors, and they specialized in portfolio deals. And within a month, we had a 1,200 unit deal under contract. That's basically what happened.
Oh, that's awesome, man. Well, that's good. Yeah. That's good. Time to get it on. So that was a big chunk, and then you closed another one right afterwards, and that was a great run and a great stretch. And now you get your card punched and a little bit of I'd say a lot of equity in the deal yourself, and kind of puts you in another path. And so what's next for Mr. John Okocha? Tell us about the next steps, man. What's going on in your world?
Yeah, the next step is just keep buying deals. I can see us raising a fund pretty soon to buy properties. I think the fund route's the best route when it comes to purchasing assets. That's my opinion. So I think that's the next step.
Right on. Oh, that sounds great, man. What did I not talk about today or ask you about that you were like really excited to share? So let me give you the floor. I mean, really any topic, man. Is there insight, wisdom, knowledge, something you want to bring exposure to, or a couple of topics? I don't care what. I just want to make sure you get some of those things that you wanted out there that I didn't ask you about.
Well, I would definitely, if there's anything that I could give as far as advice, if someone wants any advice, it would be to surround yourself with the people that have what you want. That is the quickest way to get what you want, no matter what it is, whether it's in business, whether it's cooking at a high level, whether it's having an amazing body athletic wise. Surrounding yourself with the people who have exactly what you want is the quickest way to get it.
That's great, man. It's that's a good mindset, and good mindset to kind of get after, because that's what we're doing. We want to have success. We feel, or I do, I'm gonna say we mentor, coaching, finding somebody that's doing what we want and learning from them, surrounding ourselves from them. That's going to up your game. That's going to put us right in the situation we want to be. If, like you said, if you want to get healthy, you join a health club, right? If you want to be really wealthy, you're probably going to join some kind of a wealth club or be around other wealthy individuals. And it's pretty cool hearing you say earlier in the show, the very beginning was, I met my first millionaire at this thing. You've met a few more millionaires over the last couple of years, right?
Just a few.
Right. and like, isn't, the difference of single family networking between multifamily networking. I'm going to state my piece, but in your experience, what is the difference of the people you ran into with single family and the people you're networking with in multifamily?
It's a different world. In multifamily, you can talk to people who own 100 units, and in one room. In one room, you can talk to someone who has 100 units, and you walk to the other side of the room, and the person that you meet that has 20,000 units. So there's a huge opportunity here when it comes to multifamily, and when it comes to single family, at least in my experience, there's just it's a lot more emotional. It just seems a lot more emotional. When it comes to multifamily, it seems more. It gives you more of a corporate and more business. You're talking to a business person kind of feel to it.
Yeah, I agree 100%. And when you like you said, when we network in multifamily, there's the big guy. They do have 20,000 units. And John mentions units for those people that are hearing it. People always ask me about that. What does that mean, unit? I'm like, doors, doors, 20,000 doors. And someone who has 100 doors in single family, 100 doors is a big portfolio. It's a big portfolio. In multifamily, you're like, oh yeah, you meet people with thousands of doors under their management. And so it literally represents millions and millions of dollars, exponentially bigger. And somebody who has, millions of dollars on one hand versus the other, it just seems, more a business, corporate feel, corporate like, less emotion. And then also in the single family, I ran into distressed sellers, distressed, people. Unfortunately, sometimes we're in single family, you're like buying properties from people with bad situations, divorce, divorce and bankruptcy and, foreclosure and things like that. Where on the multifamily, it's like, oh, let me show you how I created my first $1 million. And let me show you how to, create your second. And it's just a different, all day long, your different discussion pattern. And so
it's a different level of sophistication in multifamily. I mean, you do find a lot of people that are distressed in multifamily, but the conversation is different.
Yeah, absolutely. I've had an amazing time, John. Just kind of hearing from you, brother. And before I go, what's the best place for our listeners, our viewers, anybody that wants to get a little closer to you, either to learn more or talk about investments, whatever? Where should they go, and how do I reach out to you?
So, one thing is, if you send me an email at John, that's JOHN at ElevateCIG, that's ELEVATECIG.com, and mention the name of this podcast, I will send you over our due diligence checklist, some things to watch out for. So I'll send that out to you. And a really good way to follow me would be at Johnny Equity for Instagram, and for Facebook, it would be John Okocha. So JOHNOKOCHA.
You haven't heard Johnny Equity is a pretty cool name, right? Never heard that before, right, John?
It's funny, It's good for marketing. It's really good for marketing, Johnny Equity. Yeah.
I was in IT sales for a lot of years, and the tech guys, the engineers, the system administrators, anybody that had to do with like actually servicing servers, hardware, network, making sure the internet worked for companies. I was a sales guy on that side, and they would always go, "Oh, what do you do?" I I'm in sales. And, oh, you're sales Johnny? That was their nickname. Oh, the sales Johnnies. Yeah. Okay, cool. I heard that more than a few times. So I laughed when I heard Johnny Equity, baby. That's it. Man. That's cool. Well, I've had a pleasure interviewing you. Really just, great time. And I appreciate it, John, just very much. And, thanks for your time, brother.
I really appreciate you having me on, and I look forward to coming back on again. Let's do it.
Yeah, very good. My name is Abel Pacheco, and I'm your host for the Five Talents Podcast. And if you guys heard something today that you enjoy, reach out to us, connect. Our website is 5tcre.com. John's got a nice due diligence checklist. If you email him, that was really cool. Mention the Five Talents Podcast. Leave us a review. Leave us a 5-star rating so we can have other amazing guests just like John on so you can listen and enjoy. So we will talk to you soon, and look out for the next show. Bye-bye. Thank you for listening to this episode of the Five Talents Podcast with your host, myself, Abel Pacheco. Each week, we're going to bring you interviews from industry experts and commercial real estate investors who followed their dreams and achieved massive success. Before you leave, let me ask you a few questions. Did you enjoy this episode? Did you learn something valuable? Was your mind stretched to what's possible and what you can achieve? Do you want other experts just like the one you heard today? If you answered yes to any or all of those questions, then please take a moment to subscribe to the Five Talents Podcast, give us a 5-star rating, and most importantly, leave us a written review. Tell us what you liked, tell us your favorite guest, give us any feedback. I'm excited to learn and improve so you can get a more valuable show. So thank you again for subscribing to the Five Talents Podcast.